Today's lesson is on cube roots. First, we're going to look at our vocabulary. A cube root of a number is a number that when multiplied by itself and then multiplied by itself again equals the given number. A perfect cube is a number that can be written as the cube of an integer. The following symbol is used to represent a cube root. For our first example, we're finding cube roots. For A, we want to find the cube root of 8. So we want to think of a number that when we multiply it by itself and then by itself again, we get that number. 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2. For B, we're finding the cube root of negative 27. We want to think of a number that we multiply it by itself and then by itself again we get negative 27. That number would be negative 3. Because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and then times negative 3 is negative 27. So the cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. And for C, we're going to find the cube root of 1/64. So we want to find a number that when we multiply it by itself, and then by itself again, we get 1/64. That number would be 1/4, because 1/4 times 1/4 is 1/16. And then times 1/4 again would be 1/64. So the cube root of 1/64 is 1/4. Now we have an additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you may follow along. We're going to find on number 1, the cube root of 1. 1 times 1 times 1 gives us 1. So the cube root of 1 is 1. For number 2, we want to find the cube root of negative 343. Negative 7 times negative 7 is 49, and 49 times negative 7 is negative 343. So the cube root of negative 343 is negative 7. And for number 3, we want to find the cube root of negative 27 thousandths. If we multiply negative 3/10 times negative 3/10, we get 9/100. And then if we multiply that by negative 3/10, we get negative 27 thousandths. So the cube root of negative 27 thousandths is negative 3/10. Now for our second example, we're evaluating expressions involving cube roots. For A, we want to evaluate each expression. We have 2 times the cube root of negative 216 minus 3. So first we can find the cube root of negative 216, and that'd be negative 6. So we're going to have 2 times negative 6 minus 3. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. So now we have negative 12 minus 3, and that is negative 15. For B, we're going to do the cube root of 125 cubed and then plus 21. Well, the cube root of 125 is 5. And then when we do 5 cubed, 5 times 5 times 5, we're back where we started at 125. So we have 125 plus 21, and that gives you 146. Now we have some additional examples. You can pause the video and try them on your own, or you may follow along. For number 4, we have 18 minus 4 times the cube root of 8. So we're going to have 18 minus 4 times the cube root of 8 would be 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So now we have 18 minus, and 4 times 2 is 8, and 18 minus 8 is 10. For number 5, we want to find the cube root of negative 64, and then we're going to cube that answer, and then plus 43. So the cube root of negative 64 would be negative 4. because negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, and 16 times negative 4 is negative 64. So now we have negative 4 cubed plus 43. Well, negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 is negative 64, and then plus 43, and negative 64 plus 43 is negative 21. For number 6, we have 5 times the cube root of 512 minus 19. So we're going to have 5 times, and the cube root of 512 would be 8. 8 times 8 is 64, and 64 times 8 is 512. So we're going to have 5 times 8, and then minus 19. 5 times 8 is 40, and then 40 minus 19 would be 21. For our third example, we're evaluating an algebraic expression. Evaluate x divided by 4 plus the cube root of x divided by 3 when x equals 192. If we substitute 192 in for x, we're going to have 192 fourths plus the cube root of 192 thirds. 192 divided by 4 is 48, and 192 divided by 3 is 64. So we have 48 plus the cube root of 64. The cube root of 64 is 4, so 48 plus 4 equals 52. Now we have an additional example. You can pause the video and try it on your own, or you may follow along. For number 7, we're going to evaluate the expression for the given value of the variable. So number 7, we have the cube root of 8y plus y, and we're going to solve this if y equals 64. So we're going to have the cube root of 8 times 64, and then plus 64. 8 times 64 is 512, so we have the cube root of 512 plus 64. The cube root of 512 is 8, so I have 8 plus 64, and 8 plus 64 is 72. For number 8, I have 2b minus the cube root of 9b. And we're going to solve this if b equals negative 3. So I have 2 times negative 3 minus the cube root of 9 times negative 3. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then I have minus the cube root of negative 27. The cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. So I have negative 6 minus negative 3. This would be negative 6 plus 3, which is negative 3. Don't forget to fill out your notes, and remember to watch the video again if needed.